Welcome to DPC Pediatrician. We're Dr. Phil Boucher
and Dr. Marina Capella, two DPC pediatricians who are on a mission to share our love of direct primary care with you.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of DPC Pediatricians. Today we were thinking one of the things we don't talk a lot about is our own practices all that much. Sometimes we'll talk in the big picture about we do it this way or we do it that way, but I thought it would be fun to just kind of talk about where we're at with our practices, what Marina and I in particular are doing, especially knowing that we're going to all be together soon at the DPC Mastermind. And so this is just a chance to kind of hear from us about our practices. So Marina, can you start us off and share a little about what's going on in your practice right now, what you're working on, what's on the top of your list, how things are going, any big picture updates or nitty gritty stuff?
Yeah, big picture updates. Let's see. I feel like I'm reaching capacity. I definitely felt that for a couple months now. So I made the decision to hire a new pediatrician. Just barely started to get the word out, but
whoa, that's exciting.
It is exciting, but also a little intimidating because I've never done that before. And of course, there's that question of how am I going to find someone who's as motivated and loves this and is as invested in my own practice as I am, right? I think that's one of the things that I'm grappling with, but also how to, especially thinking about some of the econ classes and managerial accounting classes that I've taken through my MBA program, thinking about how do I create a structure that incentivizes a compensation structure, and just kind of a working relationship that incentivizes someone to work hard and feel the reward for it, but kind of be aligned with the greater aims of me and my practice. And I think that there's a lot that you can do within a contract to ensure that. In fact, I have a DPC physician friend who had hired, I think 2 years ago. She's now my DPC physician. She's in family medicine, but she had hired an acupuncturist in her clinic, but she hired her just on a kind of base salary model. And so there was no incentive within that kind of contract for her to do any of the marketing or to do any of the work to get patients or attract patients or keep patients. And so she learned the hard way. She shared that with me and I thought, oh, great. So whenever I come to that point of hiring someone, I want to make sure to avoid that trap of just saying, okay, I'm going to pay you this much. And then they have no incentive to work really hard because I've poured my heart, my soul, my bank accounts into creating this practice. It's really important to find someone who is aligned, who is motivated to learn and take off with the integrative medicine stuff, but also who's interested in the business stuff and really continuing to grow the practice slowly over time. So that's, I would say, the biggest update, and also just feeling at capacity. I've also, because I've recognized, actually my mentor this morning had a conversation with me about, okay, if you're feeling at capacity, you need to start interviewing patients for the privilege of being your patients instead of it's kind of just shifting from that mindset of like begging people to come to me. Yeah, so it's like, hey, it's a privilege to work with me. And it's okay if you raise your prices to create the kind of budgetary, I don't know, to basically enable me to hire another pediatrician. I need to have some funds in the bank, right? And raising my prices on new members going forward, because I am mostly at capacity, is okay. So I can, those are some of the things that are on my mind and I'm planning for in the next year.
That's exciting. So you've made the decision to hire, but you haven't started interviewing or anything along those lines just yet.
Yeah, I've posted a job listing. I actually created a page on dpcpediatrician.com. If anyone else is looking for a pediatrician and wants to post a job there, that's a great way to do it. I just realized when I came to that point of like, where do I even advertise this? The traditional places don't seem right because this is the world of DPC and it's such a different model. Plus they charge a ridiculous amount of money to put a job listing. So I said, hey, I'm not the only one who's going to need it. So it's there if anyone wants to use it.
I like that because I agree with you completely. Like if I'm a pediatrician looking for a job, I'm not going to go to like Indeed or Monster.com or wherever like the job websites are. I'm going to be like calling offices or scouting Facebook groups or something along those lines. So the fact that this wasn't an intentional ad for the website, but that's a really great idea because I bet there are others out there that are either on that path looking for a job or approaching that concept in the coming years that would be beneficial to.
Yeah. So anyway, and I also through the American Academy of Pediatrics, they have a job listings page,
Right.
but those are usually huge corporations like Kaiser and Cleveland Clinic and Children's Hospital of Philadelphia that are advertising through those channels. I'm not huge like they are, so
Yeah.
it didn't feel aligned. But yeah, so that's one thing about me. What's one thing for you looking at your practice,
Mm.
looking forward to this year?
We've gotten to near capacity too. I think it comes up seasonally as to how busy are we,
Mhm.
because like 3 or 4 weeks ago when we were in the like height of flu season, it was like, oh, this is pretty darn busy. And now
Uh-huh.
that we're out of that, it's like, oh, we have some big gaps in the schedule, which I like because it gives us freedom to like create new things or figure out better systems and all of that.
Mhm.
But we have intentionally had a wait list for the past like 6 to 9 months, not necessarily like a long wait list where it takes months and months to get in, because we are not at that place. And we
Yeah.
also don't like to make people wait that long.
Mhm.
But it has been a good way to actually drum up more interest in people that are ready and understand the model.
Mhm.
Because to get on the wait list means you're not going to get in right away, which means you have to plan ahead. So these are parents that are planning ahead, or
Yeah.
they're looking forward to getting in and getting off the wait list. And so that's been a really good play for us. And it also allows us to make special exceptions to, oh, this person is sick and needs a new doctor, and we're going to get them in lickety split. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know that there's a wait list, but we're going to make it extra special for you because we can tell you really need us, which helps us to grow our practice, but also helps patients to feel well taken care of when we
Mhm.
can understand that they're on the wait list, but they have an acute need that we have the time to manage. So that's been helpful. We've always stayed open to new babies. Like new babies has never been a thing that we've put a wait list around, because we like to grow the practice that
Yeah.
way.
They're the
They're great.
best.
They're the best. They're great patients. They
Yeah.
stay for a long time
Yeah.
because they get used to texting pediatrician. And so it's an easy, once they're in the practice, they're going to stick around and figure out how to make it work. Whereas somebody that is bouncing from pediatrician to pediatrician is more likely to also bounce away, like we talked about in our video on attrition. But I think that's one of the big things that we're doing. Another big thing, so basically what happened a couple of years ago is we started to have a few patients reaching out to us about pans and pandas.
Mhm.
And that wasn't something that I knew a ton about,
Mhm.
but there were two good doctors nearby that were seeing these patients.
Mhm.
Subsequently, both of them have retired. And luckily, we knew that they were going to retire. And we said, this is a clinical area that we have an interest in, and we
Mhm.
have the bandwidth to learn and grow and all of those sorts of things, and worked with them as kind of a mentee mentor in these PANS patients relationship. And so now we've had an influx of PANS and PANDAS patients from these two doctors that both retired within a year or two of each other, that had sizable PANS and PANDAS patients. We've also gotten to work. So in Nebraska, before the legislative body this year, was a bill requiring IVIG coverage for PANS and PANDAS patients, like
Mhm.
insurance mandated coverage, which has
Yeah.
successfully rolled out in a number of states across the country. And so we got to act at the legislature and like testify at the legislature about PANS and PANDAS and IVIG and those sorts of things. So that was a
Nice.
cool, like not specifically clinical, but patient advocacy angle that is still ongoing as of this recording. Like it's
Yeah.
still before the legislative body for a vote. Nebraska, because nobody actually cares about this, but I'm going to say it because it's interesting, is the only state in the union that has a single legislative body. So we don't have a House of Representatives and a Senate. We have a
Interesting.
unicameral single legislative body, which seems to get stuff done faster because it doesn't have to go through two different
Yeah.
legislative bodies. So,
Uh-huh. Very cool. Well, that's cool. And that's a great example of how you can get involved in advocacy as a DPC physician, right? So
yeah,
whatever side of the political aisle you're on, you have that prerogative, you have that ability, you have a little more freedom and ability to be an advocate for your patients in
right.
your community. That's awesome.
Well, I
Mhm.
think that goes a long way with patients too. And I think in DPC, it's much easier because if I'm working in a 4 day, 5 day per week practice, seeing 20 to 30 patients a day, and you're asking me to go downtown to find a parking space, to wait at the Capitol for 3 other bills to be presented, that's a half day out of clinic,
Yeah.
which is a huge ask for a pediatrician. And it's a huge revenue loss for the pediatrician or the practice to
Mhm.
have them out of the practice. Whereas for us, I mean, we can pop down there, we just block our schedule, we don't lose any revenue. We just take care of patients virtually and say, hey, I'll be back at the office in a little bit and you can swing over. It's a
Yeah.
totally different opportunity for DPC pediatricians to continue to provide value while also doing those things that help to advocate for our patients and for our
Mhm.
community.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually last year in January is our legislative session in Utah, and I cared about an issue, and so I went to Capitol Hill and I brought my office manager and my medical assistant and my medical student with me. Obviously, made it
Nice.
optional. I didn't make it mandatory, but they all eagerly came along, and we watched the arguments go back and forth in a session on a controversial, important topic. And as sobering as it was from a political perspective, it was also really educational for me and my team to go there and to feel like we can be involved in those sorts of things.
Once you go there and do that, it becomes like, oh, these are just like normal people that are talking through questions that they
Yeah.
have. Yeah, I last legislative season, so like a year ago, I also was at the Capitol for a bill and took my kids with me so that they could just like my older kids, not my young kids, so they could see what the how a bill becomes a law sort of process went. And they did. It
Yeah.
was kind of boring and like 3 hours of sitting in a really stuffy hearing room, but it was a good opportunity for them to learn. I like to tell myself that they learned about the legislative process just a little bit.
Mhm.
And my side, our medical group side, was successful on that bill. So that also felt good of like, hey, I helped in a small way to implement some change that our Nebraska Medical Association was trying to protect patients and families about.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm trying to think if there's anything else new on the horizon for my practice. Well, actually, one big thing. So, as part of kind of part and parcel with hiring another pediatrician is this recognition that I need more support, right? That I've been
Mm,
doing it all for 5 years. I'm starting to get a little tired, right? And that's, I think, just part of like you reach a new step and you reach a new step and
mhm.
you reach a new step, and each step comes with unique opportunities and challenges,
Right.
right? And so part of me, I have been inspired to write a book after I finished my MBA program in May. And
Wow.
I had to recognize the fact that if I want to write a book, if I actually
Right.
want to get to the point of publishing this book that's in my brain, I need to set aside a significant amount of time for that. And so I was like, okay, I need 2 days a week, a couple hours each. How am I going to do that? And so I decided that part of the reason I'm bringing in this pediatrician is I want to strictly work 3 days a week,
Love
maybe
it.
take phone texts like another extra day or two, but share
Mhm.
that call more consistently and truly have that time off. So
That's
that's
amazing.
part of that process that I've engaged in is I need to find a way to find more balance in my own life. Because as much as I'm a person that I want to do it all, everything is
Right.
exciting, like every opportunity seems amazing and I want to do it all. I'm also human. I need to take a step back. I need to give myself more time to recharge and to do the other things that I care about, such as writing this book.
Now, that's amazing, and I'm sure you'll be super successful with it, and I love the idea because of blocking some time to do that,
Uh-huh.
because if you don't, it'll sit on Apple Notes or Google Docs for years, but if
Mhm.
you actually, like, commit to 2 days a week to work on it, then it's gonna happen, and it will just flow and happen as time goes on. I love that. I think that's so is it a pediatric book? Is it a direct primary care book? Is it a murder mystery? Like, what kind of book are we talking here?
So the big theme of the book is recognizing how our system of medical education and medical training and work in the insurance-based healthcare industry actually traumatizes the very people that are supposed to be society's healers. Which,
Mm,
so a lot of
totally.
it is telling my own story, but with the lens of kind of sharing and helping other people connect to the ways in which they maybe have not fully recognized their own trauma through their education, training, and work. And what can we do about it? How can we heal ourselves
Right.
as the healers of society so that we can be better healers and just also be okay ourselves? Because
I
if
love it.
we're out there tending to the wounds of society, who comes to tend to our wounds, right?
Love that. That's amazing. Have you been watching The Pit by chance?
I have, yes.
I feel like I mean, I don't wanna do any spoilers or anything like that, but I think there's a lot of good examples of the way
Oh
of
yeah.
what you spoke there, that the not just seeing patients go through dramatic or horrible things or hearing about the things or experiencing those sorts of things, but just the way that the system itself is so often traumatic to the healer. So I think that it
Absolutely. In fact, we were
can
just watching it the other night, and there was a quote. Dr. Rabinovich says something to one of the residents, that's basically you have to leave you
Yep.
cannot bring your personal life into work at all. And I actually took out my phone and I said, rewind it. I need to record this because I need
Yep.
to put this in,
Totally.
because this is a perfect example, perfect illustration. Obviously, it's fictional, but it's based in real experiences that we're
Oh,
not
for
allowed
sure.
to be human at the same time that we're trying to help foster other people's humanity. We're not allowed to be human, and there's something deeply wrong with that.
I remember that exact scene because I had the exact same thought as when he was talking to Dr. Mohan and he's like, you have to build
Yes,
a wall. It has to be a tall wall. Out there is everything else. And in here is
yes,
you doing your thing. And it was just so like, I think they did a really good job of illustrating how her personal life was affecting her work. And
yeah,
then the healthcare system's response is you build a bigger wall, block your notifications, all of
right.
those sorts of things. So I love that. That's awesome. Wow. How exciting. Okay. Do you
Thanks.
have a title yet? Because I feel like that is pretty pivotal. And
I don't. I have a couple of ideas, but
okay,
I won't say them yet. So it'll
stay
take me
tuned.
a while. I think it's going to take me about a year. It's okay. But I think actually my mentor encouraged me to do this. And she said the process of writing your own story will help you heal from some of your own trauma from your
Mm,
education and training. And I think that we don't allow enough spaces amongst us as physicians to really share those things, right? Because instead we have these training programs that are telling
right,
us build walls, right? Well, we have all built very effective walls around our own trauma in order to try to survive
right,
and keep going.
totally.
It's like, when do we get to break those down? When do we get to actually witness each other in that suffering that sometimes happens?
Amen. Well,
So
that's great. I'm super excited for that.
thanks. Any other big things on your horizon?
Oh, well, no, I can't think of it. So, something really big that I'll share on our next episode when we talk about summertime growth is a new idea that I've had for bringing in more patients that don't necessarily need a primary care physician straight away. Because I think one of the things that I find when I talk to other DPC pediatricians is that there's often times where we have a way that we can serve families, but they might not need our total primary care just yet. And
Mhm.
so what I'm going to do, and I'm not trying to just like hold y'all in suspense, like wait till the next week, is create a ADHD tune-up, which is
Oh,
essentially an opportunity in the summer, in the off season, to get in and put some strategies in place around your child's ADHD, something
mhm.
that they might not be able to get at their regular pediatrician,
Yeah,
that can help them to grow and have a better summer, better school year, better family life enjoyment. So that's
yeah,
something I'll talk about on our next episode. But that's one thing that I've been working on lately is just kind of like putting the pieces into place for that because nobody wants to do an ADHD evaluation in the summer
yeah,
because their kid is fine. They're playing outside, they're watching YouTube and all the different things. But if we can instead say, okay, you don't need an ADHD evaluation, but let's find all those kids that do have ADHD and figure out how to get them to a better place when it's not the Olympics, when we're
mhm.
in the training area. So
Yeah.
that's kind of one of the big things that I've been working on at the practice level lately.
Nice. All right. Well, we won't spoil it further. We'll save that all for the next episode. But that's awesome. Yeah. So hopefully, everyone, you learn a little bit about how our practices are going. As you see, we're not just stagnant. It's not like you just open up a DPC and then it is a certain way forever for the rest of
Right.
your life. We continue growing, evolving, changing tracks a little bit, finding different things to be interested in. Hopefully, you can too in your own practice.
Yeah, and please share on the Substack. Like if you look in the show notes, you'll find our Substack. Comment and share what's going on in your practice because we would love to hear from you and hear what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. Until next time.